Hello everyone and welcome back to me, Shiva Wilson, and my channel LCUK, which stands for Legalised Cannabis United Kingdom. A bit of bad news today. You know, sometimes doing this advocacy lark you get hit with some bum notes and some downers. Well, this is one of them. A bum note from the government rejecting the Grow Your Own for medical patients petition. Do you want me to read out the government's response? Well, that's what I'm going to do. Feel free to pause the video at any time to type your responses into the comments. Just before we begin, my prediction was that they'd reject it, saying homegrown cannabis is too dangerous as it hasn't gone through all the strict quality control protocols of the medical market. And honestly, that's pretty much what they said. There is a slight glimmer of hope at the end regarding possible future progression of cannabis medicines on the NHS, but in the future that remains. So here's the petition. Introduce Grow Your Own laws for legal medical cannabis patients, CBPM. We think patients prescribed CBPM by a medical specialist should be allowed to maintain 3 to 6 flowering plants with extra considerations for starting new seedlings. More details. Grow Your Own registration database could be maintained via local council, notifying police of local medical grows, similar to the Canadian setup. There are 45,000 legal medical cannabis patients across the UK prescribed primarily bud or flower or refined oil extracts. Some patients face severe financial difficulty affording their prescription. Many patients are unable to work and are forced to turn to cheaper illicit sources due to affordability. Grow Your Own is available to cannabis patients in many other countries for this very reason, and we think must also be considered in the UK via a change to Home Office licensing or scheduling. So that was put up by medbud.wiki's founder, Ralph Leonardo McMurray, and kudos to him for putting it up. So that's what the medical community asked for. And here is the government's response of May 19th, 2025. Homegrown cannabis is not a safe or appropriate substitute for regulated cannabis-based products for medicinal use, and there are no plans to change the law to permit its use. The government sympathises with patients suffering from painful and debilitating conditions and can understand their desire to seek the best and most affordable treatment available. However, homegrown cannabis cannot be substituted for cannabis-based products for medicinal use, CBPMs, and we have no plans to allow this. In line with the advice of the Advisory Council on the Misuse of Drugs, cannabis-based products for medicinal use were rescheduled to Schedule 2 under the Misuse of Drugs Regulations 2001, which is referred to as the 2001 regulations, on November the 1st, 2018. If the CBPM product is unlicensed, i.e. without a marketing authorization granted in accordance with the medicines legislation applicable in the UK and is being ordered otherwise than for a clinical trial, the decision to order or prescribe the medicine can only be made by a doctor on the specialist register of the General Medical Council. The law itself does not restrict which conditions CBPMs may be prescribed for, and there is no legal impediment to specialist doctors prescribing CBPMs where clinically appropriate and in the best interests of patients. It is important to remember that only products meeting the definition of a CBPM in accordance with medicines legislation were rescheduled. Products not meeting this definition, other than cannabis-based medicines that have received marketing authorization and have been separately scheduled, remain Schedule 1 drugs under the 2001 regulations. Schedule 1 drugs cannot ordinarily be possessed or supplied except under a Home Office license. Cannabis cannot be cultivated except under a Home Office license, and the Home Office does not grant licenses to grow cannabis for personal consumption. Expert advice does not support the substitute of homegrown or street cannabis for CBPMs. In July 2018, the then UK government's chief medical advisor, Professor Dame Sally Davies, considered the available evidence of the therapeutic and medicinal benefits of cannabis-based products in Cannabis Scheduling Review Part 1, The Therapeutic and Medicinal Benefits of Cannabis-Based Products, a review of recent evidence. And then there's a link that you can click there. And She concluded that cannabis has many active chemicals and only cannabis or derivatives produced for medical use can be assumed to have the correct concentrations and ratios. Using other forms such as grown or street cannabis as medicine for therapeutic benefit is potentially dangerous. The evidence that cannabis and some of its derivatives can be addictive and harmful has been known for some time and is not disputed by recent science, so I believe the reasons it is a controlled drug in the UK stand. This review covers only medical cannabis and cannabis-based medicinal products designed specifically for medicinal use. Grown cannabis has over 100 active drugs, which can have a wide variety of concentrations and ratios, creating different and often severe side effects. Because different forms of grown cannabis have different concentrations and ratios of these drugs, grown or street cannabis cannot be safely substituted for medicinal cannabis. While this legislative change enabled access by prescription or by or under the direction of a specialist clinician, it did not change the processes that ensure NHS funding is prioritised for medicines proven safe and clinically and cost effective. That is, medicines such as the cannabis-based medicines Sativex and Epidiolex that are approved by the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, MHRA, and the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, or NICE. NICE states that more research is the key to building the evidence base to support the use of CBPMs. Until we see robust evidence on the safety, quality and efficacy of these products, clinicians will remain reluctant to prescribe them and the NHS will not be able to make decisions on routine funding. That is why we continue to encourage manufacturers of unlicensed products to conduct research to support the use of their products and seek regulatory approval, and why we offer scientific and research advice from MHRA and the National Institute for Health and Care Research, or NIHR. The barrier to accessing these products on the NHS is one of evidence, not government regulation, and the Department of Health and Social Care is working closely with regulatory, research and NHS partners to establish clinical trials to test the safety and efficacy of these products. Home Office. So that's from the Home Office, and so basically it's a no, it's too dangerous. Like I said, a tiny glimmer of hope that they're working towards more medical cannabis products on the NHS, but trials take time, so that's still a long way off at the moment. So what's your response to that? Is it time to jack in the channel, realising what an anti-cannabis government we have at the moment? Maybe. Maybe just pause for thought and perhaps pace ourselves for a long and winding journey towards legalisation. But yeah, I need other projects because this one's driving me up the wall. Thanks for watching, people. Sorry it's not good news. This is going to take time. Time to take some healthy distance and reevaluate just how much voluntary work I am putting into this. Well, undoubtedly the videos will keep coming out regardless, but I'll be honest, I am feeling a bit down about the whole thing today. Catch you soon. Shiva Wilson with LC UK. Good night.